God, there's lots of you. Yes, I'm going to talk about public art. It's written somewhere, I think on the website, that I'm a professor of public art. This is actually not strictly true. I'm the professor of public art. There is actually only one, and it's me. And I'm going to talk about public art. I'm going to talk about the interesting thing about public art, which currently gets me surprised every time I walk through cities. What's that got to do with the public? I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's a bronze guy on a horse. Who is he? No idea. Why is he in the middle of my town? I have no idea. Usually he's got a sword. He's usually, telling the world about something, or he's angry looking. And often there's an inscription. Usually it's in Latin. I don't know. I don't speak Latin. I've got no idea what it's going on about. It's an interesting category of public art too, because it's a generic in some senses. If you wander around towns anywhere in the world, you're going to see this guy, or fellows like him, on a horse, usually with a sword. I find it kind of strange, and actually there are other categories. This is another beloved kind of public art, the highly polished rock. I love these. These are absolutely brilliant. Sometimes they're very highly polished. This one is not so highly polished, but it's got a hole in the middle, signifying that it's a slightly special highly polished rock. This one's got an inscription, but again, a lot of this stuff doesn't even have an inscription. As I say, if it does, sometimes it's in Latin, but usually there's nothing at all. Now, you're wandering through town, you see a highly polished rock or a man on a horse, and you ask yourself, who is this public that it represents? Obviously, it's set usually at a physical distance, and this is one of the things as somebody who mucks about a lot. Set at a physical distance. I can't get on the horse. I can't rub the guy's head. I can't pretend to have a little Cowboys and Indians game with him. And it's also set, and probably for me, more importantly, it's set as a sort of psychological distance. Who is this guy? Why is he representing something in my town? There's a third category of public art, and that's the very large figurative sculpture. This is Michael Jackson. I think he's outside Fulham Football Club. Mohammed Al-Fayed commissioned him. And there's a whole bunch of these in towns. Sometimes they're very badly executed. Sometimes they're well executed. Again, they're usually set at such an enormous scale that I find them kind of very distancing. They push us away, really, from this kind of assumed public idea that we're all supposed to kind of buy into. Now, this one is somewhat controversial. I know you're not allowed to say anything bad about Mr. Nelson Mandela, and I'm not going to say anything bad about him. But this sculpture has been described as an alien paedophile come to steal your children. It's now maximum respect to Mr. Mandela, but the sculptor, I'm not sure he really conjured what it means to be Nelson Mandela. Do you? I mean, it's just kind of, I want your kids. I don't know. I'm not having it. I'm not feeling it. And anyway, the point here is this. Public art is often commissioned, and it's very simply done. They pick a category. They get the rock or the stone or the large figurative character, and they start to commission it. And this leads to public art, which, for my money, isn't really doing very much. Quick bit of background. My family are very musical. There's always a lot of music going on in my family's house. When I grew up, we'd all get an instrument out and play. The interesting thing here, I suppose the best rule here for describing that kind of activity was that the quality wasn't very important, but the taking part was. Now, I say that because my mum and dad are sitting over there, and I'd just like to say, I really loved it, but I'd really wish my dad would learn the third verse of Abby Yo-Yo, because it's absolutely frustrating never to have actually got the right words out. But the thing is, the philosophy was important, and that was that you just got stuck in. I remember distinctly the time when I realized that other kids didn't have a dad who had a Andrew's putting his shoes on song, or let's have another piece of toast song. And this is of major importance, I think, in my career development, and certainly in the kind of work that we make. This isn't an image of my family, but obviously, because we were all playing instruments at the time, no one was taking a lot of pictures. This is the best one I could find. But this is, imagine this is our family group, the Shobens at home, having a little song. No one really knows the words, but everyone is getting stuck in. And this led me to think, okay, if I was going to do public art, what kind of work would I make? So here's a kind of series of iterations of stuff we've done. And of course, because a lot of this early stuff came from a very musical background, a lot of this artwork uses sound. And you know, as a kid, you pick up a stick and run it along railings and get that lovely sound. We took a set of railings and we tuned them. So when you ran a stick along it, it played The Girl from Ipanema. Now, from my point of view, this is a kind of public artwork which says something about the public. I mean, obviously, that act of creativity when you run the stick along it is really fantastic. But at the same time, it's also a set of railings. I mean, it still stops you getting into the park. You know, you can chain your bike to it. For me, it's a kind of a start. This was the first thing we did, and that's kind of galling when the best thing you ever did, I think, was the first artwork I made. That was a bit depressing. But anyway, moving on. This is another sort of series of artworks. This was a contact sculpture over the Liffey Bridge. Tiny little sensors in the bridge, in this carpet, detected motion and made sound. So when you walk across this bridge, you walk through crunchy snow, or you splash through water, or you walk through crunchy leaves. This was a temporary work, but we ended up making permanent versions of this in different parts of the world. There's one at the Yorkshire Sculpture Park. I don't know if you guys have been there, but there's a piece there called Playground, which uses the same kind of idea. Again, you move and it generates sound. And as a sort of a third one in this category, this is something that we've just opened in the north of England. These clockwork keys have just appeared throughout the forest in the north of England. And of course, they're begging you to turn them. And of course, as you do, you discover that tiny embedded music boxes throughout the forest begin to play. You can just see some of the other keys in the background there. There are some keys that are high up in the canopy. There are some tiny little keys that are far too small to actually turn. The idea here really was to create the first chapter of a story, something that hasn't been told yet. So that's the Clockwork Forest. Now, I should just get a quick note here. That was called Clockwork Forest. The one before that on the bridge, we called that one Bridge. A project before that, the Railings one, we called that Railings. Now we've got artist friends who would probably have named that something like Momentary Lapse of Reason Part 6. Untitled. But I think if you need a clever name, you're probably missing something out in the artwork. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling I got. Anyhow, there's another sort of series. This is a series of bins and benches in Cambridge. This was there for about 4 years. Now, we kind of thought, so this is the thing. The first set of things are really sound-based. This little family of artworks are really reappropriating things that you find in cities already and giving them a twist. In this instance, we thought it would be fun to imagine what happens when, instead of bins and benches being in our town square, we flip that round. So in this instance here, when you whistle to these bins and benches, they come over to you. On a Tuesday, the bins would line themselves up in a nice little line so the bin man could come along and empty them out. I mean, I've got to tell you, being a bin is a bit of a shit life, to be frank. They sit around all day, and on a Tuesday, someone comes along and rips their insides out. It's not a nice way to live. However, these guys were kind of free to roam and, gamble and find nice spots to park up. This is another way of looking at public art. Again, we reappropriated the bollards in a town square. Often, you can, as an artist, you can make a little bit of extra cash for your budget by finding out what they were going to spend on some other area and saying, oh, we'll have a go with that instead. And so here we took the bollards up and replaced them with bollards. In actual fact, when these lights are off, they just look like ordinary bollards. But as you approach them, it's as if you set a gust of wind moving them and rotating them. And again, each one is a music box. So you can look back at your journey and watch the bollards just gently slowing down the little music box melodies coming from each post. So reappropriating public art was fun, and we did this for a while. We thought, what happens if we was to reappropriate public art itself? And so we did a bronze statue. We thought it'd be fun. This guy here is an artist holding a paintbrush, looking at Tate Modern. But he's actually got 2 hidden cameras for eyes. He's permanently installed by Tate Modern, actually. If you guys ever want to go, it's in Sumner Street, it's there now. When you walk past it, he looks at you and tries to copy the pose that you're in before going back to being a statue. And of course, he has a Latin inscription. In fact, he has a bunch. This one's Latin inscription, quid Latin dictum sit videtur est, which translated means anything written in Latin sounds clever. And there's a whole bunch of them. I won't tell you what the others say. One of them's got something to do with pepperoni pizza. And we can switch them out. They're on big stone tablets, and you can kind of switch them out. Okay. This is something we did a few years ago. Nokia paid for this, and we wanted to make an installation about an art system, not a thing, but a system. And this is a series of systems. This bucket that the girl is throwing paint from is obviously empty, but she's taken a photograph of something, and now she's throwing that photograph onto the wall. And what with the ubiquity of mobile phones now, you could use your mobile phone too. So you pull your phone out, and he's just flicking his phone like this and throwing paint all the way across the wall. And you'll see in just a second, that's them taking a photograph, squirting it into this empty bucket, a digital picture, if you like, into the bucket. And he comes along and he throws the paint on. Now the other thing you can do with the mobile phone is, of course, because it's got a microphone in it, you could use it to blow paint, spray paint using your breath on it. So you'll see in a second here. There he is, he's now putting it into sort of blow mode, breath mode. And now he's just blowing paint all over the wall. Now this was an internal space, but we're currently working on a project in Moscow where we're going to do this, but we want to be able to throw paint across buildings, across a skyline. Because we're megalomaniacs, basically. So that one, incidentally, we call paint, obviously. Now, really quick deviation. Before wanting to become an artist, I wanted to become a magician. I wasn't very good. But you know these things? These are magic flowers. I don't know if I can. Right, I'll put one arm up. Basically, this goes up your sleeve like that. Yeah, okay. And I'd come on stage and I'd be like, "Hi, I'm a magician." And a bunch of flowers, see? Thank you very much. Yeah. Now these things are kind of wonderful because they're big, but they're also very, very small. There's nothing to see at all, and there's suddenly a huge, big splash of blimey, that's me. A big splash of colour, just like that. Now, I thought it was kind of interesting. We ended up doing an installation. There's a whole story to tell you here, but I'm not going to do that. We haven't got very much time. But this is an iteration of that in a big atrium space in Spitalfields. Now, these are kind of similar to that. Imagine an umbrella where this bit is the colourful flowers, and when they're closed, you can't see them at all. But there's a glass lift inside this atrium. And when you go up inside the glass lift, all the flowers open to chase the lift as it rises up inside the space. And when the sun comes out, all the flowers open and tilt upwards to get some of that sun. The idea here was to get a kind of an organic heart into the center of what is essentially a really cold, rather beautiful, but rather cold Foster design building. This is really the end of the talk. And after all the complexity, and our installations have got bigger and our budgets gets larger, sometimes the simplest works of art are, although this is very complex in its execution, sometimes the simplest works of art rely on those real basic responses that we all know. And this was a sun that we created in Trafalgar Square. It was 260,000 watts of electricity suspended on a 40-meter crane, 5 meters from Nelson, terrified of hitting him with molten plastic yellow sun. We managed to avoid that. And the idea here was just to give 3 hours of extra sunlight on the most depressing day of the year. That was basically what we wanted to do. And at the end of the day, we also extended the sunlight, if you like, by an extra couple of hours just to give people that feeling. Now, obviously, there was heat being produced, but it was very local. And yet the people down here swore blind that it was making them feel warm. And that was a wonderful thing to see. In fact, let me just show you this.
Every time I look at you, I smile.
I smile. I smile.
That's my dad. And that's my dad over there. There he is, over there. Right. Sorry, Dad. Okay, so I mean, I don't know about you guys, but of all the things we've done, that's the most recent, and that's one of the most kind of effective in terms of that wonderful hug that you get from sunlight. And because I want to show off just a little bit more about that one, this is a time-lapse video. Just just to show you can see what the logistics have gone into, something that is essentially extremely simple. This was 6 p.m. on the Sunday before. One of the guys I work with said to me, that's not time-lapse, we just drank lots and lots of coffee. That's not entirely true. It was amazing having the keys to Trafalgar Square. I mean, we could switch the fountains off, we could make the lights do funny things. You can see the crane going up. That's us building the sun. You ready? Here it comes. Lovely. I'm really happy with that one. It's one that we've... Thanks very much. Yeah, I've got a conclusion. This is the end of my talk. Super quick conclusion. That's this. You know, galleries and museums are designed for artists to do whatever they like. You want a pile of bricks? No problem. You can do it in there. You want pictures of your genitals? That's the place to go. You know, you are free. You are absolutely free in the sterile conditions of a white box. Public art, public space comes with a whole other set of rules. What are you allowed to do? What interaction is it? You know, am I allowed to play, touch? You know, who lives in and amongst these works? And I think if you make public art, you've got to take those questions seriously. I hope you've found that some of these instances have done that. Thank you very much.